I think there are more mad people at large than the world is aware of." "Indeed!" "Yes. Do you remember that horrible story of Dickens, in the Pickwick Papers, about the man who was mad and knew it, yet successfully concealed it for years? Well, I believe there are many people like that in the world, people whose lives are one long struggle against insanity, and yet who eat, drink, talk, and walk with the rest of their fellow men, apparently as gay and light hearted as they are." "How extraordinary!" "Half the murders and suicides are done in temporary fits of insanity," went on Chinston, "and if a person broods over anything, his incipient madness is sure to break out sooner or later; but, of course, there are cases where a perfectly sane person may commit a murder on the impulse of the moment, but I regard such persons as mad for the time being; but again a murder may be planned and executed in the most cold-blooded manner." "And in the latter case," said Frettlby, without looking at the doctor, and playing with a paper knife, "do you regard the murderer as mad?" "Yes, I do," answered the doctor bluntly. "He is mad as a person who kills another because he supposes he has been told by God to do so, only there is method in his madness. For instance, I believe, that hansom cab murder in which you were mixed up—" "I wasn't mixed up in it," interrupted Frettlby, pale with anger. "Beg pardon," said Chinston coolly, "a slip of the tongue. I was thinking of Fitzgerald. Well, I believe that crime to have been premeditated, and that the man who committed it was mad. He is, no doubt, at large now, walking about and conducting himself as sanely as you or I, yet the germ of insanity is there, and sooner or later he will commit another crime." "How do you know it was premeditated?" asked Frettlby abruptly. "Anyone can see that," answered the other. "Whyte was watched on that night, and when Fitzgerald went away the other was ready to take his place, dressed the same." "That's nothing," retorted Frettlby, looking at his companion sharply. "There are dozens of men in Melbourne who wear evening dress, light coats, and soft hats. In fact, I generally wear them myself." "Well, that might have been a coincidence," said the doctor, rather disconcerted, "but the use of chloroform puts the question beyond a doubt. People don't usually carry chloroform about with them." "I suppose not," answered the other, and then the matter dropped. Chinston made an examination of Mark Frettlby, and when he had finished, his face was very grave, though he laughed at the millionaire's fears. "You're all right," he said gaily. "Action of the heart a little weak, that's all. Only," impressively, "avoid excitement, avoid excitement." Just as Frettlby was putting on his coat, a knock came to the door, and Madge entered. "Brian is gone," she began. "Oh, I beg your pardon, doctor. But is papa ill?" she asked with sudden fear. "No, child, no," said Frettlby, hastily. "I'm all right. I thought my heart was affected, but it isn't." "Not a bit of it," answered Chinston, reassuringly. "All right, only avoid excitement." But when Frettlby turned to go to the door, Madge, who had her eyes fixed on the doctor's face, saw how grave it was. "There is danger," she said, touching his arm as they paused for a moment at the door. "No, no," he answered, hastily. "Yes, there is," she persisted. "Tell me the worst; it is best for me to know." The doctor looked at her in some doubt for a few moments, and then placed his hand on her shoulder. "My dear young lady," he said gravely, "I will tell you what I have not dared to tell your father." "What?" she asked in a low voice, her face growing pale. "His heart is affected." "And there is great danger?" "Yes, great danger. In the event of any sudden shock," he hesitated. "Yes?" "He would probably drop down dead." "My God!" Chapter 25. Read by Sabella Denton. For more free audiobooks or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org.